Hello all and welcome to another episode of Parry's Pickups. As always, thanks very much for joining us today. Now, all the games on this episode are PlayStation games. Not just PlayStation 1 games or PlayStation 2 games. In fact, there's no PlayStation 2 games, but we'll start off with a PS1 game, and that's Poy Poy. Now, Poy Poy is a bit of a precursor to Power Stone, really. It's an arena-based fighting game where you don't actually have any punches or kicks or special moves like that. Your main move, shall I say, is to pick up objects and throw them at each other, or even pick up each other, as depicted on the back there, and throw people around, throw things around, and try and be the last man standing. It's a pretty simplistic 3D game, but it all works very well, and it's a lot of fun. There is a sequel to this. It's slightly harder to get hold of the PAL version of the sequel, but you can import it for a lot cheaper. Not sure how that compares to this one. I mean, the graphics aren't going to blow you away here, and maybe the sequel's got better graphics, but it's definitely very functional and very enjoyable in multiplayer. It can be played up to 4 players, so I would highly recommend this game for any fan of maybe Power Stone or just a fan of fun multiplayer party games. It's really enjoyable. So that's Poy Poy. Next up, we've got The Sims 2. Now, for frequent viewers of Parry's Pickups, you'll know that I really have been enjoying The Sims a lot lately. I've kind of had a renaissance period with The Sims just recently, and I bought this along with Poy Poy actually from the same seller on eBay. And I thought I'd just give it a go. It doesn't have a Sims game for the PSP. Now, this is not a traditional Sims game, at least not at first, because it's more of an adventure, point-and-click adventure type situation with Sims elements. So that was actually, I didn't know that going into it, so that was a bit of a surprise. Apparently, you can eventually play within a Sims world. I think, yes. Socialise to uncover secrets and unlock a fully customisable 3D world. So, but at the beginning, you're driving your car, you break down, you end up at a garage, you have to chat with a guy, kind of make friends with him, then he'll offer to fix your car, and you have a bit of a wander around, you meet other Sims, other conversations. It's actually quite playable, quite enjoyable, and quite unique, I would say, as well. We just don't expect from the off to be able to play a traditional game of The Sims if you decide to pick up Sims 2, but you do get something quite unique. And actually, if you like The Sims, you're probably going to enjoy this as a sort of offshoot of the series. PS3 now. So I mentioned no PS2, but we have got PS3 games, and the first up is Dragon Age 2. Now, I picked this up for about £3. It's a cheap game to play. In fact, after chatting to Matt about this, for those not in the know, I also co-host a podcast with a fellow named Matt Boyle, and he was telling me that yeah, don't get that one. That one wasn't the one to get. You should have got the Dragon Age Origins, which is apparently a better game. I wouldn't know. I think I'll try Origins as well, probably on the 360, because I have now a Dragon Age game on the PS3. I actually like this. It says in the back it's a great entry point, and I would actually agree with that, because it's very easy to pick up and play. There's no turn-based combat in this RPG, it's all real time. But there are sort of elements where you can slow down time to issue commands. You can tell your party what else you want them to do, heal yourself, etc. And you have several skills, 6 different skills within battle that are timed, so you manage those accordingly. So there is some strategy, and it's not just hack and slash. But it's got a great story, so far at least. I mean, that's what Matt told me was not so good about this one. The story wasn't so good, but you know, I think it's an okay story. For me, I thought it was pretty good, what I've played of it so far. And I actually did play this a fair bit when I got this the other week. I was quite engaged with what was happening in the game, to the characters, and yeah, found myself playing for quite some time. I like the choices. It's a BioWare game, so when you have character interactions, you have lots of different choices of how you're going to interact with the character. Maybe you're going to be joking around, or you're going to have a more serious response, or whatever. And I like to mix it up and kind of basically say what I'd want to say naturally if I was in this situation in the game. Which basically you're a band of survivors from a. I think that's what happened. Yeah, you survived the destruction of your homeland. I was right, and yeah, you end up seeking help in a sort of a town. Would we say? Where you have to pay off a debt for about a year until you can get out of there and seek your revenge, basically. But you meet a dragon quite near the beginning. That's not a big spoiler. And you probably played this game. Now it's an older game if you're interested in it. And that apparently is a character who is in Dragon Age Origins as well. It's a woman who can turn into a dragon. Pretty cool. I like everything going on in this game. It's got a very unique visual style. It sort of looks a little last gen in a way, not in a bad way. It's definitely a stylistic choice to have everything look a little bit more angular. One might look at it and say that maybe the graphics aren't as good as some of the other games around at the time this came out, but it's definitely a stylistic choice, and I actually quite like the direction they've gone visually with this. It's also a little bit of a throwback as well into how games maybe looked in the Dreamcast era, in terms of they haven't smoothed out the polygons in the same way. They've kind of worked with what they had available, and yeah, I like how it looks. So Dragon Age 2 for £3. It's a pretty good game. You need a bit of hard drive space to install it. Does 720p max on the PS3 for those interested. You need about 3 gig spare to play this one. But yeah, worth every penny. And finally, for this episode, this was a game I'd never really seen before, I don't think, on the high street, and I saw this in Game with $12.99, so not the cheapest game available, but having a quick look on eBay, it will seem difficult to get this any cheaper than that, and in most cases more expensive. It is a game based on the anime Bleach. I've covered Bleach before in a previous episode, PS2 Japanese imports one. Not so familiar with the series yet, but I did find the box set of the first series to watch. That was only just like £6 in CX, so I'm going to get into that a little bit, hopefully. This is... It's not a one-on-one fighting game, first of all. It's more of a waves of enemies, a little bit like Dynasty Warriors, but not quite. Basically, you have a goal that you're working towards, and you get so far, wave enemies will come out, you kill those enemies, then you're allowed to go to the next part of the level, defeat those enemies, and get to the end of the level. There's apparently a lot of grinding in this, a lot of customization. The more you play, the more battles you do, the more points you get to upgrade your characters, and so I imagine you'll reach a point in this game where you're going to have to replay certain bits over and over again to actually get strong enough to do the next area. But visually, really nice. Very good cel-shaded graphics. Looks like the anime. Everything is pretty straightforward, I'd say, in terms of the combat. It's easy to get to grips with, and it's satisfying too. There's a lot of creativity in the enemy designs so far, at least. Yeah, it's got quite a lot of options as well. Besides the main story mode for the game, there's like different challenges you can set yourself. And this does up to 1080p, this one, and it takes a little bit of hard drive space. Here it says 4 gigs, but I don't think it was quite that much. Definitely worth a go. If you like combat-based games, this is fun. Well, it's a very vague sort of review, but it's not bad by any means. And if you can find it cheap enough and enjoy some stylized anime combat, and like Bleach maybe, then you could do far worse and give this game a go. So that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, really appreciate it. No gameplay footage this time, sorry about that. I can't do it, unfortunately, with the equipment I have available to me at the minute. The laptop I got recently just isn't quite cut out for the task, unfortunately, and I had to spend a lot of time editing out dropped frames within the last footage I recorded for the last episode of Parry's Pickups, unfortunately, because the program I'm using to export the footage would not let me export it where there were dropped frames in the footage, and it did it a lot, and some of that is pretty hard to track down. So for to make it a little bit easier to get the video out there and save me a lot of time editing footage, we're going to hold off gameplay footage again. I'm very sorry about that, because I know it makes these videos a lot more interesting, but hopefully in the near future I'll have the right equipment to be able to share that with you again, like I used to do. But besides that, I hope you've enjoyed the episode, and until I see you again, game on.